Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Today, we will learn about useCallback hook in React. useCallback hook allows you to cache a function between re-renders. That means, it prevents a function from being created on every render, it will only create it if dependencies are changed. Thus, it helps in improving performance. This is the syntax of useCallback, which has function logic and dependencies. Let's understand meaning of each of it. The function parameter. Here is the function that you want to cache. It can take any arguments and can return any values. React will return the function on initial render. On next renders, if the dependencies are not changed, it will return the same function. If the dependencies are changed, it will return the current function that is passed and will store that for future use. The next parameter is dependencies. It can be any values like props, states. This parameter determines when function would be recreated. So, what useCallback returns? As mentioned earlier, it will return the function. If next time dependencies are not changed, it will return same function, but if those are changed, it will return new function. We can understand useCallback better with parent and child component, where child component has a function as props. And we will not use useCallback first, and then in that case, suppose there is change in parent component, then child component will re-render, even if props of child component are not changed. And then we will see same example, by using useCallback to optimize the same. Let's create this to-do list, in which this list will be returned by a child component. First we will create it without useCallback, and then we'll check behavior when we click of toggle theme or delete, and same we will check with useCallback later. Here, we will create a todo array first, then theme state variable which would be toggled on click of button. Now, let's create two functions, one which will handle delete of to-dos, and another to set to-dos as completed if checkbox is clicked. Let's print a log, to check if parent is rendered. Then we have added CSS to show theme. Also, added button here, which will toggle theme from light to dark or vice versa on click of it. Now here, we will call child component, which will have the delete and toggle functions as props. Now, here we have created child component with React.memo. React.memo will prevent unnecessary re-renders of the child component when its props haven't changed. Added console in child component, to check when it rendering. Added div for styling and checkbox for todo list items, which will in turn call function passed from prop that is on toggle. We'll add done on screen, if to-dos are completed. We'll also create delete button which will call on delete function from parent component. This is the initial output. As you see, currently all logs are printed from both parent and child, for each of todo item from child. Let's click on toggle theme now, and check output. We can see theme color changed, but let's look at logs. As you can see in logs, we just changed theme but still rendering to-do item is printed from child component. Thus, child component is re-rendered. Ideally, child component should not re-render, because we have clicked on toggle theme from parent. So, child's component's props or any data is not changed. Let's update the same example with useCallback to resolve the issue. Rest all the code would be same, except for these two functions. Here, these two functions will be created with useCallback and set to dos dependency is passed to it. So, function will be created newly only if the dependencies are changed. Let's check output now. This is the initial output. Let's click on toggle theme now, and check output. As you can see the theme is changed, but let's check logs now. Here, in logs only parent component logs are printed, not from child component. Because, the dependencies or props were not changed for child. So, it did not re-render as we have used useCallback. Now, if we select red book checkbox, then as you can see child component, re-rendered for to-do item 1, as dependencies are changed. Now, we understood use of useCallback, but you must be wondering why did we use React.memo? React.memo is used to wrap around functional components. It does a shallow comparison of props between re-renders. If you use just useCallback but don't wrap the child in React.memo, the child will always render because React by default re-renders children when the parent re-renders unless you explicitly prevent it. Then, you must be thinking why not use only React.memo, and then what is the need of useCallback then? Because React does shallow comparison, which means below two functions will return object comparison is false, that is, it will return as they are not equal on every render, even if they have same contents, but references will be different for them. So, React will think that the props are changed and it will re-render the child component even if the content is same, as references are different. So, useCallback comes to rescue in that situation, as it will create the function only if its dependencies are changed. So, in this scenario, even if you use only React.memo and don't use useCallback, still child will re-render every time. So, thus both React.memo and useCallback both are needed in many scenarios, as they complement each other. Now, let's remove React.memo in our previous example and check output. In previous example, with useCallback, let's keep everything same. Only have removed React.memo from child component as shown. Let's click on toggle theme and check output. As you can see, we clicked on toggle theme, still logs from child got re-rendered. Because we removed React.memo from child component. Thus, in this scenario React.memo was required. Now, let's see an example where we will use only useCallback. Let's say there is scenario where you have to pass function as dependency to useEffect hook. In that case, if you create function without useCallback in component itself, then it will be recreated on every render. Thus, useEffect will be called on every render, and will kill the purpose of useEffect dependency array. Let's see this with example. Now, let's create two state variables, value and counter. Let's create a function without useCallback, which will be used as dependency in useEffect. Now, let's create useEffect, which will have function as dependency. Now, we will create two buttons, one will increment value and other counter. And now let's check output, but keep in mind in function here it is calculation on value state variable and not on count. Thus, useEffect is not dependent on it. This is the initial output. Now let's check output after clicking on re-render parent counter. As you can see, logs from useEffect are still getting printed, even if counter is not dependency of useEffect. This happened because function dependency of useEffect was created on every render. Now, let's see same example with useCallback. Now, we will keep entire code same as previous, except we will use useCallback to create function. Here is the output of code after clicking on re-render counter. As you can see, no logs are printed from useEffect because its dependency did not change, so it did not run. Here is quick recap or summary of useCallback. In scenarios like passing a callback as prop to a child component, it will be useful as it will stabilize function reference and avoid unnecessary re-render, and same goes with scenario where function used as dependency in useEffect, useMemo, or other hooks. In scenarios like unchanging dependencies, don't use it as it will offer very less benefit if dependencies are fixed or don't change. Also don't use in scenarios like simple event handlers in small components as it will be overhead. So, this is it for useCallback. We have seen how it's declared, then its syntax, why and when to use and how to use it and its benefits. So, this is it for today's video. We'll see you in next video with some other hook. Or on some other topic, in React. You can also suggest me some topics in comments below. Also, do subscribe to my channel for more such topics. Do like this video and share it with friends who wants to learn React. So, bye bye for now and happy coding.